In this WrestleTalk news, even more on the AEW Backstage Brawl that utterly imploded the top of their card, including what happened according to the Bucks and Omega. Plus, Ollie's going to be here reviewing AEW Dynamite. Don't envy him. Subscribe and enable notifications to Always On for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
Tony Khan is another man that I do not envy this week. He's clearly out here just looking for a rug big enough to sweep all this drama under, and only finding even more drama at every single turn down the back of the... Oh, there's more drama there. And maybe that's what happens when you name your two main shows Dynamite and Rampage. Really sets a tone. AEW Cuddle Puddle might have set a more wholesome vibe. Anyhow, following the confirmation that those involved in the brawl backstage at All Out would be handed suspensions, and ahead of Dynamite, it was announced that TK would be addressing the AEW crowd RE, the World Championship, and the Trios titles. And though no mention was made of what went on to cause the titles to be vacated, it was indeed announced that they had been, and a tournament would crown the new World Champion. That's my boy! TK's out here ignoring all the drama, just trying to give us a wrestling show that we can really sink our teeth into. Because that's the problem. Nothing happening on AEW telly is half as interesting as this melee, and the stories coming out of it about Ace Steel reportedly biting Kenny Omega. Now, Fightful Select have been updating with accounts from both sides of the conflict, initially saying that from Punk's unbiased side, the Bucks had essentially kicked the door of his dressing room down and just started swinging. Ace Steel's wife was in the room at the time, and this is what, in this account, is said to have caused him to go ballistic. Well, it is time for the opposite unbiased account of what actually happened. This is going to be good. Because Fightful Select noted that sources close to the Bucks and Omega said that the Jackson brothers went to talk to Punk as he'd outlined that they should do if they had a problem. But as the Bucks opened the door, the report states that Punk went off and was throwing sucker punches at Matt's head. Nick went to intervene, and Ace Steel allegedly threw a chair and hit Nick in the face. But this account adds more to the story than just a rumble, because it's got a rescue mission. Because it is said that Kenny Omega's involvement was him trying to remove CM Punk's dog Larry from the situation to help keep him safe because he was barking and going nuts. Omega was said to hand off the dog to somebody outside the room, and then he tried to get Steel off of Nick Jackson, which is when Steel bit Omega and pulled his hair. Not the hair. Give him the 5 count, ref. Now, this account obviously feels equally as lopsided as the one recounted by those close to Punk and Steel, so suggests that somewhere in the middle lies the truth. I imagine that in the real story, Steel's there carrying his wife out, trying to bite Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega's carrying Larry the dog out of the room at the same time. The thing to remember about all of this is these are grown men with a workplace grievance. We're still waiting on word of what is going to happen with Punk, as everyone else involved has been handed suspensions, but some sources state that Punk might be done with AEW now. Now, according to Fightful, CM Punk and Ace Steel were set to have a Zoom call with the company yesterday afternoon to discuss what happened, while a mass backstage meeting was held to address the ordeal with AEW personnel and talent there. That was led by Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, and Bryan Danielson reportedly, with Jericho being praised for the manner in which he carried himself during the events that took place. But according to Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer Radio, Punk was already due to be out of action after reportedly suffering another injury in his championship match with Jon Moxley. Here's what he had to say. He may have already undergone surgery, but either way, he's undergoing surgery. It was not confirmed to me it was a torn triceps, but it was confirmed to me that it's surgery for a torn muscle in the arm. So it's a triceps, biceps, maybe pec, but probably triceps. And that's usually about an 8-month recovery period, so he was going to be stripped of the title either way, regardless of the fight.
Before we get on with the rest of the video, I'd just like to say a big thank you to this episode's sponsor, Surfshark VPN, which you can get 83% off and 3 months free if you go to surfshark.deals/WrestleTalk and use the code WrestleTalk. Surfshark VPN lets you trick your device into thinking it's in another country, which opens up a whole new world of content libraries. If you're in the UK, you can watch US Netflix, which has a far bigger selection of movies. If you're outside the UK, you can watch the BBC iPlayer. And if you're in the US, you can finally get access back to the old WWE network with its far superior functionality. I hate change. We've all been using Surfshark here at WrestleTalk for years now. It's our official VPN. And it doesn't just let us gain access to all the wrestling, it also secures our networks by encrypting internet traffic, keeping our location and download history private. My collection of ultra swole Pokemon must be protected at all costs. And my favorite feature for this is that Surfshark knows when my phone leaves a trusted connection like my home or work internet, and it immediately turns on to prevent interference. It's It's like having a babyface wrestling faction for your phone. So sign up to Surfshark today by clicking our link in the video description below, surfshark.deals/WrestleTalk, where you'll get 83% off and 3 months free if you use the code WrestleTalk. We'd really appreciate if you at least check them out, as they're a great company and we love working with them. Support WrestleTalk and support your internet privacy with Surfshark.
It's Thursday, you know what that means. Actually, I don't know what anything means anymore. My review of WCW Dynamite in about 5 minutes. The episode opened with CM Punk and The Elite edited out of both the starting credits and MJF's big return video package. That, once upon a time, was meant to be all about him versus CM Punk. To tackle the situation head on, and by head on I mean a month after it should have been dealt with professionally backstage, Tony Khan appeared on screen to play wrestling's version of the trolley dilemma. Do you run over your biggest draw and top champion CM Punk, or your 3 remaining co-founders of the company who are also trios champions? In true decisive style, Tony managed to flip the trolley on its side so it ran over all of them. Punk, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are all being stripped of their championships. Vacant reign supreme! I'm exaggerating for comic effect here. Right now, while the investigation is still ongoing, this is the appropriate course of action. It's the best of all the sucky ways you can deal with it. What a f***ing mess. At least getting it out of the way early, with Khan being notably booed when he appeared on screen. Again, his own fault, which can be traced back to letting MJF turn the promotion heel with his post-Double or Nothing promo, and at least allowed for the rest of Dynamite to run on as best it could. And there's no one better in wrestling right now than MJF. And I'm not just saying that because practically everyone else is now either injured or suspended. He's brilliant. Almost as a meta jab at all the old-timers who said he had to be a full-on babyface now, MJF came out as a grossly over-the-top good guy, getting cheap local hometown pops, positioning him as the guy to lead AEW forward amidst all this turmoil. Enter Jon Moxley, who just told MJF he's full of crap. Max's veil immediately fell, now getting cheap local hometown heat, and said he's going to win the AEW Championship thanks to his guaranteed title shot, which is why he isn't in the tournament, and he'll use the belt as a bargaining chip in the big war of 2024, threatening to take the title to a real wrestling company with real fans and real wrestlers, like his friend Cody Rhodes, the best boss in wrestling, Nick, not Tony Khan, and quoting Triple H in front of Jon Moxley, saying it's what's best for business. It was an excellent heel promo and such a tantalizing tease for a year of MJF holding the championship hostage. It also allowed Mox to not just be the badass babyface, it positioned him as the heart of AEW, something we really need right now. And he scared Max off and cut a beautifully passionate promo about this promotion, its performers, and why he's going to win the championship. Never directly addressing the stuff, but always underneath, saying the AEW you all know and love is still here in me. He couldn't have done a better job. As much as Adam Blampier would love it, 2 tournaments running at the same time is overkill. So the vacant trios titles were decided in a great match where Death Triangle beat the Best Friends. Because Pac's actual gimmick now is AEW giving him titles they've just introduced but don't know what to do with. This was an opportunity to declare this isn't just a holding period until the Elite return, but 3 wrestlers who are going to put this new division on the AEW map. Instead, the show immediately cut to a Dark Order interview where Andrade was trying to recruit 10. I know scheduling is awkward and you've got a lot to put in, but given last month's tournament, I would have moved heaven and earth to get the belts on United Empire. Speaking of filler-seeming champions, thanks for your support on Patreon. Have an argy-bargy margy-pargy and the abominable Michael Abbott. You can get your own shout-out by going to patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Because almost every championship in AEW has a dysfunction right now, we then got interim women's champion Toni Storm beating Penelope Ford with an awkward DDT in about 5 minutes. The Acclaimed got a monster pop for their entrance that was only equaled by the monster heel heat Swerve Strickland got for cutting off Max Caster's rap, which
is probably for the best considering all the material he's got this week. They talked about their tag title rematch at Grand Slam, but never explained why the Acclaimed were getting another title shot so soon after losing. Wardlow squashed Tony Nese with 3 powerbombs to retain his TNT title, and then cut a passionate, well-delivered promo at his critics saying he's lost momentum, which I guess includes me, because I still believe that. It's a shame it's got to a point where wrestlers are addressing bad booking criticism on air. In the first match to unseat Vacant from his belt-collecting reign of terror, Hangman Page took on Bryan Danielson in an excellent match. Yeah, that Hangman Page. Evil to the core, Adam Page. Look at him, with his evil puppy dog face and beautiful deep blue eyes. I bet he's thinking right now, I bet he's thinking how he can go into business for himself. What an incredibly toxic, genuinely lovely seeming man. Danielson and Hangman have fantastic chemistry and worked a slick match around Bryan nullifying Page's buckshot arm. Danielson won, not only making that overarching longer arc a dead tie now, but also setting up the next stage in the custody of Daniel Garcia feud, with Bryan facing Jericho in the next round. Stokely Hathaway and his gang of randoms were about to explain their ladder match actions, but decided to beat up a producer instead. This didn't get enough time to really land, and the act feels destined to the AEW wastelands of undercard factions, where I think Ethan Page now has 3. Poor guy can't catch a break. And the main event saw hometown boy Daniel Garcia beat Wheeler Yuta for the ROH Pure Championship. A brave bit of booking to keep gently elevating these two wrestlers. Garcia cut a far more respectful figure than his recent JAS antics, and showing Jericho willing him on backstage added a surprisingly heartfelt layer of drama for the heel faction. Garcia's Dragon Tamer was super over because it looks awesome, and he made Yuta tap to become the new champion. In a great soap opera twist, it was Danielson who walked down to congratulate Garcia, putting the belt around his waist, while Jericho watched on heartbroken from the ramp. Never mind the title, we need a tournament for Daniel Garcia. What did you think of Dynamite? Let me know in the comments. This was a very good show, but let's be honest, it's a big step backwards in terms of star power. Tony Khan has spent a lot of the last few weeks in interviews talking and promising about how post-All Out, AEW will have its strongest roster ever, with everyone back from injuries. But because of his own talent mismanagement, it's actually been set back over a year, with no Punk, Cole, Kenny, Bucks, or Cody. But sometimes you need to take that step backwards to start moving forwards again. This week's Dynamite is 75%. Now watch on to find all the details about that backstage AEW fight.
Welcome to a re-recorded Reactive News. Yes, we were originally going to talk about how CM Punk's antics at the weekend and his antics along with the other AEW EVPs would maybe have big ramifications. It certainly has already had big ramifications for tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. We were going to talk about what it could all mean, but what